Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to this week's Hatha practice. A few props that will be handy for today is just having a couple hard blocks nearby, and then I'm also going to use a bolster. You could also use any kind of a plump pillow or anything like that. I'll invite you to get started down on the back in a restorative fish shape. So if you want, you can place the bolster lengthwise on the mat, and then come to sit just in front of it so that you can lay your spine down onto it. And take a moment to find a version of the shape that feels comfortable. If you need something a little longer, you can use one of your blocks. And then once the upper body is mostly set up here, if you want, find an expression with the lower body that complements the shape. So one option would be to do butterfly legs. If you have your blocks nearby, you might use those for support. And taking the knees nice and wide, feet together. You could also do easy pose legs. You could have the legs extended. Take your time settling into the shape and notice the body here. Notice if there's any part of the body that needs a little extra support, a little extra care. And as you feel ready to settle in, and as the body settles, start to notice your breath here and just gently invite the breath to start to lengthen. And with each inhale breath, starting to explore a sense of space in the body. And with each exhale, grounding, softening. And as you lie here, notice if the mind starts to wander, see if you can guide your attention back to your breath. Only when you feel ready to move again, bring one hand to your heart space and the other hand on top. Empty out all your air, and then together we'll take a deep inhale through the nose. Full sigh out the mouth. And twice more. Last one. Releasing your arms. You can help the knees a little closer together if you're in butterfly, extending the legs long. Just swish the feet side to side, maybe a rock of the head side to side. And then moving your props out of the way, roll down onto one side, just so that you can move the bolster out of the way and then come back to lying flat for a little while longer. Notice what the body feels like here, a little movement. You might collect the knees into the chest. It might feel nice to rock side to side, maybe up and down a little bit. Awesome. And then settling back on your back, and from here we'll separate the knees, reach through to catch hold of feet, ankles, or shins. Happy baby pose, feet might point up towards the ceiling, and give your hips a little rock side to side. Awesome. And collecting the knees back in the chest, rock up and down the length of the spine, this time building up a little momentum, and eventually coming up to a seat. And from here, we'll swing the legs around and come to a tabletop position. And setting up puppy dog pose here. So take a moment to make sure the knees are comfortable. If you like, you can add an extra fold to your mat or use a blanket or something. And then from your tabletop position, keep the hips stacked on top of the knees, but start to walk the hands forward in space and let the chest dip in towards the floor. And see what wants to touch the floor. Maybe it's the forearms, the forehead, maybe it's the chin, the chest. And take a moment to find a version of this that feels comfortable in your body. And please add some support in if you need it. So if the head isn't quite settling, then maybe you're going to use a block for it. And likewise, if it's the chest. And then let the spine feel really heavy here, letting the heart space dip towards the floor. And stay with your breath here, deep, expansive inhales and grounding exhales. As you feel ready to move again, slowly lift yourself up, walk the hands back in, and then we'll send the hips towards the heels for child's pose. Maybe a prop for the forehead, knees can be separate or together. Give the hips just a little rock side to side here. And then extend the arms all the way forward. Start to walk your hands towards the top right corner of the mat until you can find a side stretch for the left side of the torso. Notice if the hips swing off center here. See if you can keep them hugging towards the midline. It'll deepen the stretch. Always the option to bend one or both elbows if that feels better for the shoulders. And with your next inhale, start to walk yourself back to center. With the next exhale, hands over towards the top left. Settle into your side stretch for the right hand side. As you're ready with an inhale, walk everything back to center. And then we'll transition to a kneeling position so you can start to walk your hands in, lift yourself up. And then check in here. If this doesn't feel comfortable for the knees, you're welcome to find a seat. You can also use your bolster. You could straddle the bolster, or maybe between hips and heels will feel more comfortable for you. And from here, take the arms up towards the ceiling, stretch them high, and settle the shoulders in. Now take a deep inhale. And then cactus the arms as you exhale. Inhale, reach up. And cactus. A couple more. Final one. Now stay with the cactus, but bring the forearms towards each other. It's okay if they don't quite touch. Maybe the hands are just touching and not the elbows. But keep the elbows roughly same height as the shoulders. Make sure the rest of the spine feels settled here. And then the next time you inhale, we'll twist towards the right. The left hand will stay where it is, so open that right arm out towards the right and cactus to the side. As you exhale, bring it back to center. And then second side, inhale, open the left arm. And exhale, bring it back. Now with your range of motion, keep going with your breath side to side. Last couple. And the next time you twist towards the left will be the last. And after that, return back to center. And then release the arms, give them a little shake out. And you might remove your bolster as well, come to a tabletop position, and then give the feet just a little tap to the floor. And from here, we'll spread the hands nice and wide, fingers spread nice and wide, and tuck the toes under, engage the core, lift the knees. And we'll press the hips up and back and find downward facing dog. Now take your time to set up. We'll be here for a few breaths. You can sway the hips side to side, maybe roll the heels over to one side and then over to the other. And you could also be pedaling here or bending the knees deeply, stretching out the opposite leg. And check in with the upper body as well. Make sure that the shoulders feel adequately supported. Make sure the spine feels nice and long. Head can hang nice and heavy. Awesome. You might keep a slight bend to the knees here, but take a deep inhale through the nose and then a deep sigh out the mouth. A couple more. Awesome. When you're ready, take an inhale, lift the left leg up behind you. As you exhale, we'll step the left foot forward between the hands. And then keep that back knee lifted, but you might take the left foot over to the left a couple inches. It might help with balance. And when you're ready with a strong belly, you start to make your way up, and we'll find a high crescent lunge. So straight away, if you need to shorten or lengthen your stance, then go for it. If things are feeling wobbly, widen the base a little bit. And then from here, reach the arms up towards the ceiling, and then soften the shrug muscles. And take a deep inhale, and cactus the arms. Once more. Awesome. Once again, we'll bring the forearms together. And now a little different. Inhale, breath, open up, lift the chest, lift the gaze. And then exhale, breath, round in, forearms together. Inhale, open up. And exhale, round in. And 3 more. Last one, embrace the wobbles. Now a little different. Inhale, open up. And exhale, hands can find the hips, or if you have space, interlace the hands behind the back. And take a deep inhale here, puff the chest up. And as you exhale, hinge your way forward for a humble lunge. So the left shoulder might land on top of or just inside the left knee. Both legs stay active here, and notice where the bum is pointing. If it's pointing off over to the left, see if you can ground through the feet so that it's pointing straight behind. The hands can stay at the low back. You could also extend arms up towards the ceiling. And make sure you're still breathing here. Face can stay nice and soft. Awesome. As you're ready, release the fingertips down to the floor. And you can work from fingertips here. If you have your blocks nearby, then feel free to pick up one of those or both of those. Inhale, breath. Let the pelvis be heavy. Lift the gaze here. Puff the chest. Exhale, hips back, front leg extends. A few more times with your breath. Last couple. And the next time you inhale, come forward. And with an exhale, lower the back knee to the floor. And you can come on up. If the back knee needs a little padding, then feel free to add some in. And then from here, reach that right arm up towards the ceiling, bend the right elbow, and then left hand comes to cup the right elbow. Now from here, again, you might widen your base a little. It might help with a side stretch, but take a deep inhale, lengthen that whole right hand side. And as you exhale, arc over to the left any amount. Now left hand can stay where it is. If it feels more stable to bring the left hand to the left hip, then go for it. But notice that stretch from the right side of the pelvis all the way up to the right elbow. Breathe there. Awesome. With a strong belly, come on up. And left hand's back at the right elbow. And now right elbow to the outside of the left knee for a twist. Hand open like you're holding a plate. Left hand might land on top. Always the option to twist up here if that feels better for the spine. If you are connecting knee to elbow, then press them together, create a little resistance. Press the palms, and you might even find a little more space across the chest. Option to take the gaze over the left shoulder. And then if you like to add on here, option to lift that back knee back up and power up the pose. And your choice, we're here for about 5 more breaths. And wherever you are, high or low lunge. The next time you inhale, unravel back to center. And exhale, plant the hands to the floor and step back to downward facing dog. Let's see what that left hip needs. If you want to take it to a 3-legged dog for a few breaths, go for it. Maybe some circles. You can also do that from a tabletop position. And before we head to the next side, we'll take about 8 breaths and rest. So you can stay in movement here. If you like to find child's pose, go for it. If you want to come to down dog, go for it. Or maybe a few rounds of cat-cow. Be wherever you need to be. And as you feel ready to transition back to downward facing dog. And take a few breaths to set yourself up and then find your shape. Head heavy, hands actively pressing the floor, hips nice and high. And together, a deep inhale, deep sigh. And 2 more. Last one. Your next inhale, lift the right leg up behind you. And exhale, step the right foot forward between the hands. And take a moment to find your balance here. And then when you're ready, come on up. Finding your high lunge, maybe a slightly wider base. If things are a little wobbly, you can lengthen or shorten. Legs stay active here. When you're ready, reach the arms up towards the ceiling. And then soften the shrug muscles. Deep inhale, lengthen. And then cactus. Once more. Awesome. Pause here. Bring the forearms together. And now inhale breath, open up to a cactus, puff the chest, lift the gaze. Exhale, round the shoulders, bring the elbows to touch. Inhale, open. And exhale, close. Like a really dramatic game of peekaboo, 3 more rounds. Inhale, breath, open up. Exhale, hands to the hips or interlace the hands. If you are interlacing, then switch all the fingers by one so that it's a slightly awkward clasp. Inhale, breath, lengthen, puff up, and then hinge forward. And this time, right shoulder on top of or just inside the right knee. The legs stay really active, and again, notice where the hips are pointing. See if you can get them to point mostly behind you. Hands can stay to the low back or lift up. Breathe here, soft head, soft face. And gently release the fingertips to the floor, or bring your hands to your blocks. You might lengthen the stance a little bit here too. Inhale, breath, bend deeply to the front knee, let the pelvis sag down. Exhale, breath, hips lift, head lowers. Inhale, forward, and exhale, back. A few more. And the next time, inhale forward, exhale, lower the back knee down, and then make your way up here. So again, you can adjust the stance, you can add padding as needed. Left arm lifts, bend the elbow towards the back of the head, and then right hand cup the left elbow. Inhale, breath, lengthen the whole left side. Exhale, breath over towards the right. Again, the right hand can stay, right hand can find the hip. Breathe that length to the whole left side. Right hand can find the left elbow again. Inhale, breath, come on up. And as you exhale, guide the left elbow outside the right knee, palm open. A right hand can come to sandwich and press the hands together, press the knee and elbow together, find length in the spine, find space for the chest, and take the gaze wherever it wants to go. And stay, always the option to lift that back knee up. We're here for about 5 more breaths. Wherever you are, the next time you inhale, unravel back to center. A little different, fingertips down, step forward to forward fold. And then give the hips a little movement here. Again, you could do like a 3-legged thing and shake out that right leg a little bit. Maybe you're pedaling and swaying. And check in with the low back. If you'd rather be in more of a halfway lift shape, you can use your blocks. Always the option to let the spine dangle, let the head dangle. And when you're ready to find stillness, find your version of a forward fold. And just make sure that the body feels comfortable. So if you want to play with taking the feet a little wider or closer together, if you want to play with a bind or something like that, then go for it. As much of a bend to the knees as you need to support both the legs and the low back. And releasing whatever arm expression you have. The next time you inhale, come to a halfway lift, lengthen. And then sigh and fold. And twice more. Last one. Now inhale, halfway lift. And hands down, step one foot back, and then the other will come to a tabletop position. And from your tabletop, you can bring your forearms down to the floor. Elbows or forearms can be parallel or hands can be together. Elbows roughly underneath the shoulders. And take a moment to build that kind of stable foundation for yourself. And from here, step one foot, then the other to the back of the mat. You can work with knees down as well. And forearm plank, you can stay with this or option to add on a little bit. Start by lifting the hips just a little bit higher in space. And then with an inhale, lift the right leg up behind you. With your exhale, right knee towards right elbow. Inhale, send the leg back. And exhale, knee to elbow. 4 more. Last 2 if you're with me. Awesome. Inhale, leg back. And then lower it, drop the knees. Option, hips to heels. Find child's pose for a few breaths. Option, if you want movement, come to tabletop and take a few rounds of cat-cow. Awesome. Back to your tabletop and then set the forearms up. And from here, one foot, then the other to the back. Again, the knees might drop. Or if you're coming with me for the movement, lift the hips up a little higher. Inhale, left leg lift. Exhale, left knee towards left elbow. Inhale back. And knee to elbow. 4 more. Last 2. Inhale, leg back, and lower that foot as well. This time, lower the knees, lower the pelvis, lower the chest down towards the floor. We'll extend the arms out in front, option to use a prop for the forehead. We'll set up for crocodile pose. So one option is to leave the arms extended here. The other option would be to bring the elbows really close to your prop or a little closer together. The hands come together and then bend the elbows and thumbs can come towards the top of the head, maybe towards the back of the neck. And if you are using a prop, there is the option to bring the elbows up onto the prop as well. And while you're likely feeling the stretch in the upper body, notice what the lower body feels here as well. Maybe the heels want a little rock side to side. And before you move again, see if you'd benefit from a little more time here. And when you do feel ready to move, you can release the arms. And bring the hands roughly underneath the shoulders here. And press yourself up to a tabletop position. And from here, we'll come up to kneel, so you can walk hands in towards the knees. And come to standing up on the shins. Now check in here, notice your foundation. If there's anything that needs to adjust, then go for it. And then bring the hands onto the hips and hug the elbows together, puff the chest up here. Find a slight hug. Pubic bone can draw towards the belly button to support the spine. And then take a deep inhale and stay here for the exhale. Now inhale, puff the chest up, lift the center of the chest up and open. Maybe lift the gaze up. And then you might use the hands to press the pelvis forward slightly. And breathe here, keep the belly toned. Awesome, strong belly. The next time you inhale, lift yourself up. And then pause for a moment, release the arms down. If the shoulders need a little wiggle, if you want to take a gentle rock side to side, go for it. Awesome. We'll take one more round of camel. You can do the exact same thing this time. I'm also going to offer, if you want to bring your bolster and lie it across the ankles. This time I'll offer the reach back. So if you want to use a bolster, then great. It'll bring whatever you're reaching for a little closer. If you want to cup the heels or even fingertips to the floor, blocks, you're welcome to do that as well. And take a moment, set yourself up the same way. So see if you'd benefit from a little more distance between the knees as well. And take a moment, find that tone through the low belly. And space for the chest, shoulders soft, elbows back. And deep inhale here. And stay, exhale. Now inhale, puff the chest open. Maybe lift the gaze. And maybe lower the hands down to your prop or to cup the heels. If the hands are connecting, then gently press them down. See if you can find a little more room for the heart space. And maybe the gaze will follow up, maybe slightly back. Awesome. If you need a couple more breaths, then stay. Otherwise, strong belly, lift yourself up, and then pause here. A little movement or stillness. And at any point, hips can come towards the bolster, towards the heels, and pause. And take a moment, notice your headspace, notice what's going on there. Notice the body, notice your breath. All right, if you're sitting on the heels, then make your way up. You can move your prop out of the way. And step one foot forward and then the other, coming up to a standing position. And take a moment to set up your mountain pose here. So lift and spread the toes out, lower them with a little gap in between if you can. And then rock forward and back a little bit, bring the weight to the heels and then onto the toes. And then settle yourself in between the two. The feet gently pressing to the floor, that slight hug through the belly, that lift in the spine, the softness in the shoulders. Let the arms be heavy, let the chest be proud, let the neck be long. Awesome. From here, we'll set up for a series of a couple of balance poses. So if you like to be close to a wall, then go for it. It might also help to find a gaze point, something unmoving to help keep you steady. We'll start off by balancing on the left foot, so you can lift and spread those toes out. Really feel the toes grip in, really feel the foot press down to the floor. And then from here, bend your right knee and then reach with the right foot. Reach for the right foot. And then reach your other hand back and catch the foot as well. So starting off with a little bit of a quad stretch here, you can hug the heel towards the bum and just check in to see what that feels like through the front line of that right leg. Awesome. And if you're happy with this, you can stay exactly here. Others will go towards a dancer variation. So keeping both your hands as best you can, the foot might move further away from the bum, and that's fine. Depending on your proportions, it might stay close to, and that's fine too. What we're going to do from here is actually hinge our way forward and then bring the spine any amount towards parallel to the floor. So again, whether the heel is right at the bum or a little further away, don't worry about it. And then notice what's happening through the back of the left leg. You'll likely be feeling quite a bit of a hamstring stretch. So listen to that as well. And keep that left foot actively pressing down and see if you can keep the chest facing towards either the floor or the wall in front. But notice if you're starting to tip open a little bit and see if you can stay neutral. Last couple of deep breaths here. All right, with an inhale breath, make your way back up. Release the foot and we'll bring the right knee in towards the chest. Awesome. Left hand to the right foot. Take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, start to turn the chest out towards the right. Reach behind you. And gaze can stay forward, move to the side or towards the back. Breathe here. Awesome. Inhale, unravel to center. And then we'll step the right leg just behind the left. Left hand to the left hip. Inhale, reach the right arm high. And exhale, arc over towards the left. Stretch out that whole right hand side. Awesome. Inhale, breath, come on up. And then step to your mountain. If anything needs a little shakeout, go for it. But then come and find your stillness for a few breaths. Pause and just check in. And then flutter the eyes, wiggle the fingers and the toes. And we'll set up for the second side. So take a moment, lift and spread the right toes out, really ground them down. Find your gaze point or your wall. And then from here, bend the left knee, catch the foot, and then reach back with the other hand as well. And gentle hug of the heel towards the bum. Notice what this feels like through the front line of the left leg. One option to stay here, or take a deep inhale. As you exhale, start to hinge your way forward any amount. Stay strong through your core. Stay strong with that right leg. Maybe you're kicking the foot into the hands, or maybe not. Breathe wherever you are, chest pointing towards the floor or in front of you. Keep breathing. Awesome. When you're ready, inhale breath, come all the way back up. Release the foot, lift the knee, and pause. Right hand to the outside of the left knee. The next time you inhale, twist towards the left. Left arm might reach behind you. Gaze wherever feels best for you here. Breathe. Awesome. Inhale breath, unravel back to center, and then step the left foot just over to the right of the right. Right hand to the right hip, left arm reaches high. Inhale, and arc over towards the right any amount. Feel the stretch to the whole left hand side. Inhale breath, come on up, and then release. Come back to your mountain pose. Anything that needs to shake out, go for it. If you need to make a little noise like then go for it. And then come and find your stillness when you're ready. And settle the body and notice the breath. Notice where the mind's at. Awesome. When you feel ready to, wiggle the fingers and the toes, flutter the eyes back open, and you can step to the top of your mat if you aren't there already. And take an inhale breath, reach the arms up. And as you exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. And sigh it out. And again, inhale. And exhale. Last one. Now to transition, inhale, halfway lift. And plant your palms and step to downward facing dog. From down dog, inhale, lift the right leg up behind you. As you exhale, bring the right knee just behind the right wrist, right foot over to the left, any amount, and lower the left knee down. We'll set up for pigeon pose, so you might shift that left knee a little further back in space. And then don't worry too much about the angle of the right shin. For some people, the right foot points out to the left. For other people, it might be more behind you. And then option if you want to bring your bolster a little bit closer. And once everything feels secure through the lower body, then you can start to fold your way forward. Maybe elbows come towards the bolster. Maybe you have space to bring the chest down onto it. You can support the head as well. And your shape might look completely different from mine, so take a moment to find a version of this that feels good for you. Once you have settled in, just make sure it feels like a pain-free expression. If you're feeling pinching somewhere, anything sharp or electric, then that might be a sign to back out or to modify. Last few deep breaths here. And slowly walk your hands back underneath you. You can move any props out of the way. And then plant the palms, bring that left knee a little bit closer. We'll release to a tabletop, to a three-legged tabletop. So you can send that right leg behind you and then maybe take some circles with the right leg. You can bend and extend. You could stack the hips if you like. Any movement that feels good here. When you're ready, coming to tabletop, then to downward facing dog. We'll inhale the left leg up. Left knee just behind the left wrist, left foot over to the right, right knee lowers. And again, check in here. Maybe you have a little more room that you can take that right knee a little further back behind you and see where that the left shin wants to point, even if it's a little different to the first side. And then when you're ready, you can bring props in if you like. Let's start to lower yourself down any amount. You may end up somewhere a little different to the first side, and that's fine if your body needs something different. All the same options to use props for support. And if the mind starts to wander, gently guide it back towards the breath, towards the body. Awesome. Slowly start to walk the hands back in and lift yourself up. Moving your props off to the side. Planting the palms, guiding that right knee a little bit closer. A three-legged tabletop. Take some movement with that left leg, whatever feels best for the hip here. Awesome. When you're ready, come to find rock pose, a kneeling position. I'm going to talk through shoulder stand now. We've done quite a bit of work for chest, spine, and shoulders. And I'm also going to offer the option for legs up the wall pose if shoulder stand isn't part of your practice, or if you have anything going on in the neck that you want to kind of respect, then go for that instead. So I'll show both options. I'm only going to talk through shoulder stand, but you're welcome to make your way to legs up the wall if that's what you're choosing. For shoulder stand, I find that when you come to lie down on the back, especially if you're not super familiar with it, having a wall behind you might be more useful than having one to the side. I have both here, so I'm just going to stay as I am. But especially if you have a fear that you're going to somehow tip over behind you, it probably won't happen. But just if you have that fear, having something there that you can touch a toe onto, find your balance, and then come back can be helpful as well. For starters, we always want to respect the neck, and you never want to have any pressure on the neck in this shape. So if you do come up and feel like you have pressure there, then please come down right away. And one other thing is you may choose to watch the demo and then maybe pause and come into it, because while you're in that shape, you don't want to be turning the head at all. So if you hear a cue and you're not quite sure and then turn, that may not be a good place to be. Other than that, it's a great shape, so come on in. You can come down onto your back to begin with, and then lower here. From here, you can connect the knees into your chest and just give yourself a hug to begin with, maybe a rock side to side. If you have a ponytail, you might have to remove it. Awesome. So we'll begin with a slight rock action. I find it helps to have the hands on the floor for stability. You can also grip the edges of your mat if that helps you feel more secure. So basically where we're going is almost like a kneeling position, but upside down. So with a little momentum, see if you can bring the pelvis to stack up kind of on top of the shoulders, and don't worry if the knees are beyond where the head is here. You can bring one hand towards the low back and then the other, and now you're supporting yourself. So check in with the neck here, and again, make sure everything feels secure. If you have space to bring the elbows a little closer, then go for it. And then from here, this may feel like a great place to stay, and if you're comfortable, then go for it. Otherwise, if you would like to explore extending the legs up towards the ceiling, then go for that. And then it might be kind of hard to judge where you are in space, but sometimes what ends up happening is that we end up leaning kind of overhead like this. The feet might come way over. So if you find that happening, maybe it's through the core, maybe it's through pressing the arms down a little more firmly, that you can lift the feet and stack them on top of the pelvis. And as I was saying, if you feel yourself falling out, then touch a toe to the wall, find your balance, and then you can come back. Whatever the shape ends up looking like, notice your breath here, notice the body. If you want to explore closing the eyes, if that feels comfortable for you, then go for it. Awesome. This might be a great place to stay a little while longer, or if you're in legs up pose by the wall, then you could welcome to stay as long as you want. And when you do feel ready to come out, you'll come out the way you came in. So start off by bending the knees first, and then release one hand, then the other to the floor. Let the spine round down to the floor. We'll set up a counter stretch straight away. So from here, you can extend the legs long down the mat, and then lift your bum up and bring your palms or your hands underneath it, palms flat to the floor. So for fish pose, we'll start to arc up the back and walk the elbows closer, and then press the elbows down as well until you're in a back bend, and it will look a little different. For some people, the head doesn't lift. For others, maybe the top of the head touches down. Either way, find that length through the spine, find that length across the chest, and take a few deep breaths here. Awesome. Chin stays tucked, and slowly lower the spine back down. Release the arms, and then give the hips a little rock here. Give the head a little rock here. Awesome. If you have your bolster nearby, we'll sit up for a twist, and I like to use the bolster between the knees. So if you want, you might do the same. You can scoot the hips over to the left a few inches, and then lower the knees down towards the right. The arms can be in any expression, T-shape, cactus. Maybe you're holding hands overhead. And if you're using a bolster, you might squeeze it with the thighs and slowly bring the knees back to center. And then hips over towards the right a few inches and knees down towards the left. And the same arm expression or different, and take whatever you need here. Squeezing your bolster with the knees, bringing the knees back up to center, hips to midline, and then you can move your prop off to the side. And from here, extend the legs long down your mat, maybe the arms long down the mat. And then just notice here, if your body's asking for any last quiet shape or movement, then feel free to take that. If anything's in your way, then feel free to remove it. If you need to adjust anything in clothing and lighting and temperature, then go for it. Take your time to get really comfortable using any props that you have for support. And releasing your breath to its natural inhale and exhale. Let the body start to feel heavy. Let yourself settle in. Gently deepen the breath to reawaken the body. Bringing one hand to the heart space and then the other hand on top. And taking a deep inhale, feel yourself fill up. Deep sigh. And again, deepest inhale. Noisy exhale. Biggest one. Release your arms and find some movement. Hands and feet. Head can rock side to side. And taking the next 10 or so breaths to transition to a seat. Moving any way you like. And if there's a shape you need to take along the way, then go for it. Eventually making your way to any comfortable seated position. And take a moment to settle the hips, to lengthen the spine, soften the shoulders. When you're ready, one hand to the heart, the other hand on top. And together, deep inhale. Sigh. Two more, biggest ones. Bowing the chin into the chest. And thank you for sharing your breath and your practice today. Namaste. And thank you for joining me for practice, and enjoy the rest of your week.